This is a $10 Hilda book versus a $100 Hilda book. And today, I'm going to be going through my entire collection and showcasing to you guys just how massive it really is. And we start off with this. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Ray, but it's just some ordinary card. What exactly is so special about it? Ah, but it's not just some ordinary card. This is a card given out to those who attended the Hilda Art Gallery in Burbank, California in 2020. Yeah, I bet most of you didn't even know there was a Hilda Art Gallery that happened in LA. It had some unexpected surprises. Yeah, I am. But for the most part, it was extremely cool to see all these artists come together and bring their creations to life. And the fact that this event was also endorsed by the people who made the show just makes this event just so much cooler looking back on it. And I really wish they did more stuff like this outside of the UK, but probably a major reason for that is because another certain worldwide event that happened in that same year. I can't really say I'm too surprised, unfortunately. So yeah, as you probably can guess, this thing didn't really cost me much because it was actually just free. You can just pick it up and just take it home with you. But I did actually buy something from there, which we'll get into later in the video. The next items on our list are probably some of the most interesting ones in this entire list. So back when season 2 was still being hyped up for release, the team at Sony actually decided to start sponsoring a bunch of YouTubers and content creators to promote the new season. People from big YouTubers to casual fans on social media were getting free merchandise from them left and right. So I was like, hey, I want one. So I literally tweeted at them, hey, where's my free Hilda merch? And after that, I pretty much thought nothing of it for a while. Until a couple hours later, I actually received a message from my DMs from, you guessed it, the official Hilda account saying, yo, we love to send you some free stuff. And you can only imagine the excitement I felt when I got that DM. And literally a few days before season 2 was released, it arrived. I'm not gonna lie, this card in particular is so freaking cool just for the mere fact that it just, well, exists and I have it. And I'm also one of the only few people in the entire world that has this. But also because it comes with this sweet ass Woodman pin, which I'm not sure if they were also sold on Forbidden Planet, but it's still really rare. And of course, you cannot forget about the Twig plushie, which is still a pretty big deal to me, even though at the time you could just buy your own plush on Gun's website. So all in all, while I don't know the exact value this Woodman pin and this card would exactly be worth, but for the Twig plush at the very least, you could buy it on their website at the time for like $25. But I did decide to look up eBay listings for it and they were being sold for, wait, I'm sorry, what? $70 flippin' dollars? So I guess this just makes it all the more rare, huh? I think what makes this package so especially special to me is just the mere fact that someone at Sony actually liked me enough that they were willing to send me something like this. And apparently they liked me so much that they gave me another one. It's not here, obviously. If it was, you would have been seeing it by now. I ultimately decided to just give the other one to my friend May because I would feel really bad if I was the only one in the entire world that had like 2 of these things. The next thing we have that I also got for free is this set of fan-made Hilda posters made by Ken Turner. And while these may seem like ordinary fan posters, and that's because they kind of are, even though they're still pretty cool, the story of how I got these is actually really interesting, and believe it or not, it actually involves Mr. Beast. Sort of. Basically, I was watching one of his videos on YouTube when I saw that he was doing this thing with Lunar Capsule, how you could essentially pay like $5 or something like that, and then you could put like whatever picture you wanted to, and then a hard drive containing that picture would be sent on a spaceship and then placed right on the freaking moon. And what exactly did I send there? Well, this picture of baby Hilda. Because why not? Specifically this screenshot of baby Hilda and Twig, which is really, really important because the person who animated this screenshot is actually a former Mercury Filmworks animator, Andrew Ferguson, not to be confused with Megan Ferguson, aka Little Digits, although I'm not too sure if the two might be related somehow. But anyways, when I told him about this, he was like, oh, someone's about to put my work on the freaking moon. And so he decided to give these posters as a thank you for essentially putting baby Hilda on the moon. And he even gave me this little note as well, so that's pretty sweet. Thank you again, Andrew. You are the GOAT. I got these for free, but if you want these posters in this size specifically, they're about $25 a pop on Redbubble. So overall, a $50 value. I still wonder what happened to that Mr. Beast thing. Oh. Oh. Well, yeah, you know what? Let's move on. Now it's time to showcase the items that I actually paid for. Starting off with this twig pin by Thenamel. I bought this off Etsy for like $10, $16 if you were to include shipping and taxes. And yeah, it's a pretty cute design. There's not much that I can really say about it other than it's just a really cool, cute twig pin. Next up, we have these Hilda stickers from Skybeeb. They are technically like $3 each sticker, but because I feel like I just couldn't get one, I decided to like get 3 more of them. So in total, it came out to like $12. $14 if you include taxes. I bought 2 Hildas and 2 Kaisas, although I think the artists who actually made these emailed me about having some kind of manufacturing issue, so they ended up sending me new pairs, but unfortunately I don't have them here because I most likely decided to give those away at some point. But still, these are pretty dope. Up next on the chopping block are these Hilda Season 2 art prints from Simply Ghostly Designs. I was looking through some Hilda items on Etsy the other day and I happened to come across these 2. And I was like, oh, these look pretty dope actually. And so I just decided to buy both of them. Each of these costs $8.50, so that would make it a total of $17. $18 if you included taxes. Man, I really need to start buying more stuff from Etsy. This next item on our list is one I actually happened to buy very recently while I was at LA Comic-Con last year. And it is this holographic Hilda poster by artist L3 Reezer. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the coolest posters that I've ever owned because, well, it's holographic. And 2, well, the design is really, really clean and really awesome to look at. I honestly was just not expecting anything Hilda related to be at LA Comic-Con whatsoever. So when I saw that this guy was selling this art print, I did not hesitate to buy it at all. And I, for one, am super glad I did. This costed me $25, $28 after fees. And remember when I said that I happened to actually get something from the Hilda Art Gallery? Well, here it is, and you can't see me because this thing is so high up. So here's cartoon me to explain things for you. This is the Hilda poster that I bought there for approximately $30. Unfortunately, I don't know who exactly drew the poster itself, and it's also just in pretty rough shape, as you can obviously tell, because my dumbass thought it was a good idea at one point to put duct tape on it instead of actual poster stickers like you're supposed to, but hey, it's still a semi-official Hilda poster. I also really like how the quote they use is the same one that they use in the very last moments of season 1. Man, if only they did something like this for season 3. Up next is this Hilda t-shirt from also Ken Turner, which I'm obviously wearing. I know it's a little worn out, and that's mostly because I've had this thing for like 1.5 years now, but here's the full art for comparison. This shirt costed me $21, $38 if you included shipping and taxes. Such a super cool design, and honestly makes me wish that we had more official Hilda t-shirts like this that aren't from Forbidden Planet. And even those ones aren't even being made anymore, so that's why you don't see them here. But I actually do have one official t-shirt, and it's this Hilda and Twig t-shirt. There's a reason why I don't wear this too often anymore. Yeah, Hot Topics quality is flippin' ass. And it did not even take me 1 year until the shirt started to look like this. And unfortunately, it's not like I can just buy another one since they long discontinued these. It's still cool to own, I guess. This cost me $23 with the total coming to about $41. And the reason it costs that much is because I actually wanted to buy 2 of these. So why didn't I? Because they canceled my flipping order at the last minute. Ah! There goes my $20. Now, items that I feel are especially rare are pieces of Hilda merchandise that I see literally nobody else own. And one of those for me happens to be this special edition UK exclusive copy of Hilda's book of Beasts and Spirits that included this exclusive art print from this book. Normally in the UK, this would have run you down about £15 or $19 in American money. But because I obviously don't live in the UK and I needed to have this imported somehow, it costed me way more than that. Like, let's say $47. However, because this was such a limited time thing and I rarely ever see anyone carry this specific version of the book, I would say it was definitely worth the price for me. Did you know that there actually exists an official Twig backpack? And it totally doesn't fit on me at all? Well, you should, because on its own, it's pretty freaking cool. I mean, they put a lot of attention to detail into this thing. It's actually just straight up ridiculous. I mean, you have the eyes and the nose in the front, as well as the ears and the antlers on top. Twig's tail is a part of the zipper. I think that's really clever. Alfred being on one of the straps on the back of this thing. Hell, even the design inside is really freaking cool. I mean, just look at this. It has such a cool ass design that reminds me so much of the first season. And overall, this is one of, if not the most well-designed and well-crafted pieces of Hilda merchandise that I've ever owned. When this was still being sold, it was sold on Gun's website for about $35. And I bought it for $47 after taxes. If you asked me what is my most expensive Hilda poster, I would give your attention to this one made by Isabolical. At $45, $50 after shipping, this thing is far from the cheapest thing in the world. But goddammit, this design is just so freaking cool and I just couldn't help myself but just buy one to stare at on my wall all day. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, look at how much attention to detail this has. I mean, the tiles, the character designs, the backgrounds, the Easter eggs. If I had to pick a contender for best Hilda fan art of all time, this would definitely be a strong contender for that. So for $50, this was absolutely worth the money. Now it's time to take a look at the rest of the Gun plushies. Personally, I just really love all of these, but the Wolf and Hilda plushies are especially my favorite. The Hilda one is the most complex of the three. It's a cute design that resonates well with Gun's style as well as the style of the show. I like how they put Alfred next to her ear like this, that's pretty cute. And overall, this is a really nice plush. Just, again, make sure you don't pull her hair back like this. Oh my god! As for the Wolf one, it's so simple yet so freaking beautiful. I mean, this thing is big and it's definitely the fluffiest out of the three, which makes sense because, well, wolves do be fluffy. I would say this one is definitely the best out of the three plushies. So minus Twig, when these were still being sold on Gun's website, they were being sold for about $25 each. So in total, $50. This next item on our list is probably one of my most special and rarest pieces of Hilda merchandise yet. The original paperback copy of Luke Pearson's first ever Hilda comic, Hilda Folk, or otherwise later renamed to Hilda and the Troll. This is the original 2010 comic that started it all. And there are a lot of interesting things to note here. First of all, when you actually open it up for the first time, you're greeted with a little biography of Luke Pearson. Apparently, he had comics about Super Rabbit and Cleaning Teddy. I'm not sure what those are about. Before he eventually graduated with an illustration degree, and I'm guessing that led him to what he ended up making. Also back then, Hilda Folk was just one of many of No Brows, aka Flying Eye Books' 17 by 23 series that they were doing at the time, in which would, quote, help talented young graphic novelists tell their stories in a manageable and economic format. And that also, quote, can act as a springboard for more ambitious projects. Man, even back then, no one really knew just how big Hilda would become several years later. I just find it so unbelievably fascinating and awesome to know that I happen to own one of the first copies of this first ever Hilda comic. And thank God I decided to buy this thing sooner than later, because this thing has only gotten more expensive and more rare as time passes by. I bought this on eBay in March of 2021 for $55. And at the time, I thought that was a lot. But I searched for one on eBay recently, and I happened to find out that one was sold for $120. And it wasn't even the first edition either. So I can only imagine just how much more expensive this thing is actually worth now. Now these are the Hilda books that are not a part of the original Luke Pearson or Stephen Davis tie-in novels, and are more of the miscellaneous Hilda books that I happen to have in the collection. I already showcased the Beasts and Spirits one, but this one specifically is a copy that is sold here in North America. And yes, there are differences between the UK and the American versions of these books. If you take a look at the back in the North American version, you'll see that the back highlights that it is in fact a daytime Emmy Award winning show. Whilst in the UK version, it highlights the fact that it is a BAFTA award winning Netflix show instead. Alfred's birthday is referred to as June 20th in the American version, while in the UK version, his birthday is referred to as the 20th of June. You know, not big changes, I'll say, but hey, there's still changes. But essentially, this book is about highlighting, you guessed it, the creatures in Hilda. And it actually provides us with some fascinating and new information about some of these favorite creatures that we may not have known about in the show. Like, did you know that there actually exists an entire wood species that for some reason season 3 just forgot to bring up? Or you can learn how to play elf poker. There's just so much information packed into this little book that I honestly think that every other diehard Hilda fan should absolutely try and get, because this thing is hella fun to read. Hilda's World, on the other hand, which is also written and illustrated by Emily Hibbs, is less of a showcase of anything and more like a deep analysis of the characters of Hilda and Trollberg as a whole. I haven't fully finished this yet, but for what it is, it's pretty cute. There's not a lot of information that wasn't already explained in the show or movie, but I do like the way they drew Kaisa here. That is one big beautiful one right there. Anyways, Hilda's Sparrow Scout Batch Guide is basically like Hilda's World, except it's essentially focusing exclusively on the Sparrow Scout side of things. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, out of all the books in the Emily Hibbs collection, I gotta say this one is definitely the weakest. And I'm not saying that to imply that this book is bad in any way, I'm just saying that because I am not the target audience for this kind of book. I mean, to be fair, it does go very deep into explaining how to actually become a Sparrow Scout, but I'm nearly 20 years old. What the hell am I supposed to do with it? So I'm guessing that because this was such a niche book to begin with, that Flying Eye Books just decided to stop production on this thing altogether. Yep, you can no longer buy this book brand new anymore. Which is a shame, because for the hardcover editions of other Hilda books that were also discontinued, they did eventually see a re-release in paperback form, but because it's never released in hardcover, it's just gone. Adios.
Bueno, adios, master.
In its defense, it's not the most useless thing in the world. It included a guide on how to decrypt some code and also how to make mom's cucumber sandwiches, which I tried making and failed miserably at it because I suck at cooking. That is freaking disgusting. Hilda and the Wilderness Stories is part of a 3-book collection in which it essentially combines 2 Luke Pearson comics into one. If you're a new Hilda fan and you want to just jump straight into reading the very first of Luke's comics, I would actually recommend getting this one over just buying 2 of the books separately. Because for one, the Hilda and the Troll comic is already extremely short on its own. And 2, it's just way more convenient to just go from one story to another instead of having to pull another book from the shelf. And it even includes some bonus content as well. Whew! That was a lot. But we need to answer the big question. How much does all of this cost? Well, now that's when things start to get a little tricky. 2 of these books have already been discontinued as of the recording of this video. But from my recollection, however, I think this hardcover was originally sold for $17, with the batch guide being sold for $15. You could buy Hilda's World on Amazon right now for about $22, and The Wilderness Stories for $24. So in total, all this is approximately worth about $78. Probably the most expensive thing I've purchased off of Etsy has definitely got to be this Hilda plush. Before the official gun plush, you had this, and well, some people have their opinions on it. Would I say it's the most well-designed Hilda plush in the world? No, but I do quite like how it leans more of an accurate style of what we see Hilda as in the show in comparison to the gun one, which, I mean, in comparison, looks straight out of corporate America. I mean, come on, guys. Flip. And this thing was entirely handmade by one person. So you can't really hate on this thing too much for that reason alone, especially for how much attention to detail this thing was put into. And for that reason, it's also why it's the priciest at $85. Is it expensive? Yes, but in my opinion, you just can't deny the amount of effort that went into this thing, like with the texture and materials they use for this thing. I personally love it, and I've had this thing for so long, and it may not be a gun plush, but damn it, this thing's still great. This video is already taking so long to make that I just want to get it over with already. If you guys haven't already read the original Luke Pearson lineup of comics, please do yourself a favor and do that, because each and every single one of these books are absolute bangers. My favorite one in the series has definitely got to be the Mountain King one, because in my opinion, this is the superior version of the story. I love the movie and everything, but honestly, the original just feels more fluid, energetic, and vibrant. And the plot doesn't suffer either, because it doesn't have a really bad Dave and Frida plot that doesn't go anywhere like in the movie. The comic also addresses a major issue that I had with the movie, and it's because a lot of the movie takes place in the dark. Everything just looks so bland, dull, and not so colorful, which is a shame because Hilda is known for having one of the most beautiful and colorful color palettes and scenes in really any other animated show, really. But it was just not something that we ended up seeing in any capacity in the film, which just makes me appreciate the original comic that much more, because for one thing, the character designs are way more expressive, and well, yeah, it's just way more creative and vibrant with its storytelling. Another comic that I love especially is Hilda and the Bird Parade. This one, in my opinion, is just as great, if not even better than the Netflix version. I don't even know why, because this version of the Bird Parade is way more different compared to the Netflix version. There's no plot about Trevor kidnapping the Raven or anything like that. The two basically just instead just hang around all day. And just like the Netflix version, it has some of the funniest and best moments in the entire franchise. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of glad that they changed this design for Joanna in the show, because, well, yeah. And did you know Luke Pearson was actually planning on doing something with Tofu-10 way back in 2013 when this book was released, as seen by this beautiful giant map right here. A bit of Hilda trivia, if I do say so myself. The prices for these books are, again, a bit rough to estimate, but from my memory, I think the hardcovers are selling right now for $14 a pop, with the soft covers like these selling for $11, which makes this collection about $86. But with the original copy of Hilda Folk, it comes down to about $206. But I need to admit to you guys something. I have been hiding something from you guys, because this is not the complete Luke Pearson collection. At least, not without this. What you are looking at is a brand new, still sealed copy of the original Hilda and the Troll hardcover. If it wasn't for the original Hilda Folk copy, I would say that this is most definitely one of the most priciest and rarest Hilda items ever. Is what I would say if websites like A-Books weren't selling it for just $70 a pop. And I bought one a couple years ago for $112. So, not necessarily the best financial decision But it means that this collection in total is worth approximately $318. And the second to final thing in our list is the Stephen Davis Hilda collection. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have not got on my way to read most of these because I simply just do not have the time. But from what I can gather, despite some of these books having very similar names to their Netflix counterpart, the pacing is far more different in these books, and the general consensus seems to be that this is less of a one-to-one adaptation of the Netflix series and more like Stephen Davis's own interpretations of them. Like, for example, in the Hilda and the Great Parade book, there's an entire scene where Hilda and the Raven are running back home from some train tracks. And in the Hilda and the Laughing Merman book, Louise actually appears with the trio for the Nissa bit in the Strange Frequencies episode, which, why wasn't she there in the first place? This would have made the episode so much better, but you know what? That's another topic for another day. For now, all you need to know is that these books are essentially multiple episodes written together into one book. Season 1 are books 1 through 3, Season 2 is books 4 through 6, and Season 3 is books 7 through 9. Whether or not these books are better than their episode counterparts, I honestly have no idea because, again, I haven't gotten the time to read most of them yet. But as of the price of these paperback copies are about $12 each, with these Season 1 hardcover copies being about $14, although I think they did recently come out with new paperback editions, but I think they might have discontinued them not long later because I just can't find them anymore. Totaling this collection upwards of $114. Now, it is time for the moment you've all been waiting for. I've had a lot of expensive Hilda items, as you can probably guess by this collection already, but this one by far takes the cake for the most expensive Hilda purchase I've ever had. You are looking at an ultra rare Hilda figurine from Flying Eye Books that was released all the way back in 2013. I got to say though, I know I'm a little biased because Hilda has been the only thing I've been talking about for years, but of all the figures I've seen in my lifetime, this one has definitely got to be the most creative and well-designed thing I've ever seen. I mean, just look at this thing. The front is very simplistic and very clear on what it's supposed to be. It's Hilda, and it's a figurine. The sides, top, and bottom are all references to Luke's comics and are cleverly extended to the size of the plastic here. And even on the back, you have an entire comic made by Luke Pearson himself, which I find it hilarious, but also kind of sad to think that Woodman would be the type of person to lose Hilda's toy after she literally gave it to him as a present. And we still haven't even taken a look at the actual figurine itself, which, oh man, is this thing gorgeous. Kind of hard to take out, actually. There it is. Take this out. Boom. Here it is. At about 8 inches tall, it's fairly small. But then again, if you're trying to buy this as like an action figure, then this would definitely be more than enough for most people. As the comic says, you can either play with it, keep it somewhere safe, put it on your desk, throw it away. No, I'm kidding guys, I'm joking. Overall, this is a really beautiful piece of Hilda merchandise that the fact that they put in so much effort into this thing, into making it feel as authentic and accurate to comic Hilda as much as possible, just makes me equally as sad to think that they have since long discontinued these. So with that in mind, when this was still being sold, it was sold for about 45 British pounds or $50 USD. But now, I want you to take a guess on how much I actually paid for this thing. $60, $80, $100, $120? You are about to flip when I tell you just how much this actually costed me. This used, not new, very good condition figurine that I bought on eBay costed me $150. $165 if you included taxes. However, even with the steep as hell price tag, I would say that this was most definitely worth the money because these have only just become more expensive and rare to come by nowadays. In fact, they're becoming so rare and expensive that as of me editing this video, one unopened new condition box just sold on eBay for nearly $300. I know mine is pre-owned, but goddamn did I end up having the deal of the century. And as a diehard Hilda fan, how can you not have something like this in your collection? And folks, that is it. We have finally made it to the end of our adventure. So to sum up everything we have gone through, the cheapest item in my collection is this free card. And this Hilda figurine is my most expensive. There are at least 50 items across this entire collection, with a grand total of $1,379. Yeah, I don't think I'm getting rid of this collection anytime soon. If there were some items that you recognized in my last video but didn't see them here, it's most likely because I either don't know where they are or I just don't own them anymore. Despite already having one of the most expensive Hilda collections in the entire world, there's still a lot that I'm trying to get a hold of. Here's some of my biggest priorities at the moment. I want to get the rest of the gun collection. I know they sold like a twig pencil bag and mittens or something, as well as the surprise keychains. I would love to buy that twig hoodie that was given out exclusively to people who worked on the show at Mercury Filmworks. I know it isn't technically official merch in that sense of the way, but someone was selling that thing on Facebook Marketplace in Canada for $25. So you know what? I'm gonna put this out there. I am putting a $200 bounty on whoever has worked on Hilda as a Mercury Filmworks animator, have proof that the hoodie is actually legit, and is willing to sell and ship it to me for that price in the next 60 days. Please make sure to spread this video around because I really want that twig hoodie. I plan on buying at least some of the Forbidden Planet merchandise. I'm not even gonna bother trying to find all of them because so little people actually bought them in the first place, and they've been discontinued for over a year now, so it'll be literally impossible to try and find every single piece of Hilda merchandise that Forbidden Planet has actually sold. Unless they decide to send me some free stuff, which please, I love some free stuff. Please, thank you. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Did you know that there exists an fish? Did you know that there actually? Look at how much. Oh sh! My books got damaged. Oh sh! It just broke. It just broke. I think this thing is made out of plastic and not glass, so that's why